Welcome to the Scar Release Podcast. Join Cody Byrns as he talks with many thought leaders who have encountered trauma and other life difficulties, and yet they haven't allowed it to stop them from giving hope to others. Through this podcast, our wish is to embolden every listener. No matter your story, you can live a life of freedom and fulfill your purpose. Here is your host, Cody Byrns.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Scar Release Podcast. Today, I am being joined with Lani Woods, and she has an incredible story, and she is making such a great impact on our world today. And I thought, my goodness, she would be a wonderful guest to have on the show. I was on her podcast show, which she has as Unrelenting Humans, which I'll read about in the bio here. And so I'm looking forward for you all to hear from her, because I really think you can learn a lot. So I'm going to read her bio here. Lani Woods is a native of Los Angeles, California, single mother of two very active, competitive kids. Lani has a diverse background in healthcare and services. Lani's love for the health industry started young from her early years. She has worked as an EMT, caregiver, and in diagnostic medical imaging. Lani is currently in the completion of her Bachelor's of Science in Diagnostic Medical Sonography. She knew while facing difficulties growing up in poverty and not having access to a lot of resources and activities to promote physical and mental health that she had the resiliency to overcome. Lani used her passion for physical fitness as a coping mechanism for her depression in a toxic, abusive relationship, and also as a bonding tool for her family. Lani started a podcast called Unrelenting Humans after suffering a complex leg injury to empower other athletes to share their stories of resilience and how they cope mentally when living with injuries and other impairments. Lani is also establishing a nonprofit to help the athletes in the underserved communities to have access to resources they need to participate in sports, to stimulate their full potential in the sport, community, life, and intestinal fortitude. Awesome. Well, Lani, it is so great to have you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
I am so honored to have you, and it's so nice to be able to see you in person, because I know the last time whenever we had talked, it was just through audio. So I didn't get to see you face to face.
Yes.
So I like this a lot. Well, and so I know before we had the call here that you was in therapy. And so
physical therapy.
Yeah, so I know a lot of the people are interested in finding out more about you. So if you wouldn't mind, give us a little bit of your background. Obviously, we read your bio, but any extra details that we may need to know.
I guess. Well, why I'm on Scar Release, it's mostly because of my injuries, I presume, which I obtained doing OCR, which is obstacle course racing. I'm a very active mom. I hike with the kids, and we do 5K events, and we recently started Spartan racing. So if you don't know what Spartan races are, they're obstacle course races. And I injured myself at the last one I did, which was in 2019. And I tore my ACL and got something called a tibial plateau avulsion fracture, which is where the PCL pulls away from the bone, but it pulls part of the bone with it. So I had to get that fixed before I could get the surgery to reconstruct my ACL. Am I going too far into this?
No, please share, because I'm interested to find out.
So I had to have a cast for 6 weeks for that. And it was a full leg cylinder cast, which is basically from your ankle to your butt cheek.
Nice.
That was fun. And I had to be on crutches, obviously, which was really tough because I live upstairs and my townhome has stairs in it. So I constantly had to try to go upstairs. And in the first few weeks, I couldn't even do it. Like, I had to sit on the stairs and kind of lift myself up and crawl. It was crazy. And then once that got off right before Christmas, they started to do physical therapy so I could get ready to go into surgery for my ACL rupture, because I fully ruptured my ACL and my calf was ruptured too. So I had to get reconstructive surgery to fix that. which happened right before COVID, the quarantine, and February 20th. So I'm still recovering from that. I'm 6 months post-op. Uh, I I think I'm doing good. The physical therapist told me I'm doing well. I miss running though. It's a whole year recovery time, so
Mhm.
it's I'm still going through that.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the thing too. You're still going through it, the recovery phase of things. But what I respect is that through it, you're still actively doing things, and you're making a positive impact on many
Thank you,
people.
thank you.
And so I think it's incredible. And having the Unrelenting podcast, Unrelenting Humans podcast.
Unrelenting Humans. So
Yeah.
yes, that came about because of the injury. That was really I guess a little spontaneous. I always thought about starting a podcast, but I never was really good at talking. So, but through my injury, I started talking more to people on the internet to get more information about the injury. And then I had a lot of adaptive athletes who gave me different workouts that I could do to substitute so I could still stay active while I was recovering from my injury. And they would always tell me their stories. And I just thought it was so amazing. And then I was just like, hey, if I start a podcast, will you be on it? Like, can I share your story? And so they're like, yeah. And so I just decided to just go do it, like figure out how to do it. I'm still learning myself. Like I've only had the podcast maybe 3-4 months, and I learned something new every week, I swear. And it's amazing. It's really fulfilling. I love it.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm still learning in this journey too. I think it's just nonstop, and it is a lot of fun though, and I think it's very therapeutic when you get to communicate with others that have gone through difficult moments. And obviously, each story is different and unique, but just to know that overall you're not alone in this journey we call life. Everyone has their ups and their downs, and each one looks different. And
Yeah.
so I was never the athletic type. And so, I did the juggling and everything, which we had talked about before. And so, I know that when you're actively doing those things and all of a sudden that skill is taken away from you, it can be quite hard and difficult.
Yeah. It can send you into a really dark place,
Yeah.
which
And oh, go for it. What was you going to say?
yeah. Oh, I was saying, yeah, it can send you into like a really dark place, which is what kind of happened to me at first, because I was stuck on the couch with this cast and not moving. And it actually pointed out me having to sit still made me realize that I had so much undealt with trauma of my own. Like you think because you get out of a situation that you've dealt with it and it's done with, but sometimes we find things to distract us from actually really dealing with the mental anguish that we go through with other situations. So as you mentioned, I am a domestic violence survivor, and I had a lot of trauma that I didn't deal with from that relationship, and I was using exercise to distract me from that. So I was going to the gym almost every day and working out and keeping my mind off of it. So when I had to sit there with my thoughts and be stuck, it really brought it all back. And I like fell into a depression. And so I had to, well, I started to seek help, but I really didn't get the help I needed. And I ended up finding it in community, like talking to other people and really talking about it helped more than anything. So.
Yeah. Oh, and I agree 100%. I think that community is so meaningful, and I know that there is a lot of women in today's world, and there are some men as well that unfortunately deal with such situations. And so I know that there are probably people that are listening to this. Yeah, like I said, every story is different, but at some point they may have had to deal with something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think it's only common and normal for us to want to distract ourselves from the pain that we're having, and trying to escape. We always look for ways to escape, whether it's through entertainment, exercise. Mine was never exercise. Mine, whenever I went through my journey, it was just food. I mean, in all
Right.
honesty, I found enjoyment in just going, okay, what's my next meal? And that was like, it seemed like the only thing I had control over in my life at that time. And
Yes.
so I understand. And so finding that community and gaining strength in yourself. And yeah, I want, like I'd mentioned, I want to be respectful of your story. But where do you see yourself at right now as far as in that journey? Do you feel that you're at a good place where you have, you may have the scars, the trauma that you've, the experience that you've dealt with, but as far as forgiveness and moving forward and pursuing your life, where are you at in
I
that journey?
I'm definitely in a good place. Like I am to the point where I can admit that I'm not 100% better. Like I'm not over it. I'm still going through the process and getting better or dealing with the issues, but that's a long way from denying that they're even there, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm definitely stronger. Like about a year ago, I would have never talked to you about this. It's different. I'm able to talk about it, and I'm able to, hold my head high and be like, yeah, I went through that. That's something I went through, and it happened, and it made me a stronger and more compassionate human being for it. And I hope that, I get to share my story and people hear it and women get inspired. And if just one woman hears like my story, my situation, and how I triumph, then they get the courage to get out of their situation. Because when you're in those type of relationships, it's a lot of fear that keeps you there. And it takes courage. And it takes a shitload of courage to pull yourself out, to actually leave and to do what's best for you before you get really hurt to the point that you can't, go back or get killed or something. So,
Yeah.
I don't know everyone else's situation, but yeah, my situation it got crazy because it was progressive. And if I wouldn't have left when I did, I probably would have been probably killed. Like it went from arguing to pushing to physical hitting and breaking stuff to knives being pulled and being
Wow.
almost thrown off of a balcony. So there's a lot there. But
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah, yeah, it's so unfortunate you hear those situations happening. But I'm so thankful that you're out of it now and that you are safe. And, as I was reading in your bio, you have two girls, right?
No, I have a boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl. Okay. Yeah. So two very active kids. I apologize. I assumed girls.
Oh no, it's okay.
So you got a boy and a girl. And so how are the kids doing during this experience as far as, dealing with your injuries? And I'm sure they're certainly coming along and helping mom out.
Luckily, they're old enough where they are, self-sufficient and they were able to help me. If I would have had toddlers, I would have been like up Shit's Creek. But my kids are 16 and 11, so they're big enough to help out. But it still affected them. They do obviously don't like to see their mom hurt. So, and then me hurting myself obviously put a little bit more pressure on them and things that they had to do, where they had to actually help me. But it actually brought us to a little bit closer together because they were able to help me. Like it wasn't just me taking care of them. They actually, stepped up and took care of mom. And it just, it was, I'm very proud because if I wouldn't have raised them right, then they wouldn't have been able to help me get up the stairs and get to the car, carry the groceries, bring me water and ice after I had surgery.
Heck yeah. Give you that foot rub. They give you, did they rub mom's feet or no?
No, they don't touch the
Oh,
feet.
goodness. Oh, that's such a shame. Because that's one thing I want my future children to do. No, I'm just teasing.
Rub your feet.
But yeah, no, I remember rubbing. I was just talking with my mom about this. I went over to my grandma. Growing up, you're always looking for ways to earn money. And I remember my
Mhm.
grandma. I said you're just always looking for ways to earn money, especially whenever you're a child. And so I remember going over to my grandma and grandpa's house, and my grandma just wanted her feet rubbed, but I would rub her feet for an hour just for $5. And
Wow.
yeah, heck yeah. But $5 then, it was a lot, and I was so happy to do it. Well, I wouldn't say happy, but I did it, got the money.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, well, to your point, it's a huge credit as far as how good you have done at raising those babies, and so I think that's awesome. And so,
Thank you.
when in your journey now, like you're getting your degree, which I highly respect, you're continuing that education, and so where do you see yourself going here in the next, let's say, 3 years?
Well, right now I will have completed my degree summer next year. And a reason I went back to do that, what I do is ultrasound, or diagnostic medical sonography is ultrasound. So I wanted, after my injury, I kind of wanted to get into musculoskeletal ultrasound, where you can see the muscles and the tendons and stuff like that. I'm trying to branch into sports medicine a little bit. So hopefully I will be working in some type of sports clinic or somewhere where I could practice musculoskeletal ultrasound. I do eventually want to open my own practice to do that. It's really like bringing my two passions together, which is ultrasound and sports. So, and I do want to get this nonprofit off the ground, which we're working on now. The base of it is I want to help the adaptive community, like disabled, and also the underserved community at the same time. The premise is no athlete left behind. So I want to help those adaptive athletes get the proper equipment that they need to be able to participate in sports, because the only difference between a disabled person and an adaptive athlete is honestly the equipment. Like some people don't, like people in wheelchairs, they aren't able to go off road and do stuff except with special wheelchairs that insurance doesn't pay for. And then with amputees, they can get a regular prosthetic through their insurance. Well, some of them can. And unless you're a veteran, there's not a lot of programs that help them get a prosthetic to run. So I want to help get that, partner with a few companies, and maybe make it more cost efficient, and also help people get the therapeutic services they need when coming from like in a domestic violence type case or childhood trauma, whatever it is, because sometimes athletes do need therapy, and it really does help with your game. In this,
No, I agree 100%. And I think that's amazing. Would that be focused specifically there in the community in LA, or would that be something that you may see taking off nationwide?
I'm trying to do nationwide.
Heck
So
yeah.
I have a lot of partners and people that are helping me on like I'm in California, but I have a lot of associates on the East Coast that are really helping me. So hopefully it will be a great thing nationwide.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so neat. And I interviewed one of my buddies, Brian Drury, and he has an organization that he partners with that helps athletes that have been injured as well be able to do this race in particular. And so I may need to get you hooked up with him, because he's actually out of LA too.
Definitely.
And so I think he'd be a good contact for you. But I think this is a great program, and it's very exciting. And you're doing the podcast and everything on top of it, and you're making a huge impact, and that's what I truly admire. And
Thank you.
you're an incredible woman, and I'm honored to have had the opportunity to meet you and have this time with you.
Thank you.
You were most welcome.
I'm trying to get like you.
Oh no, trust me,
On an international level.
It is so much behind the scenes work, and I'm learning, I'm growing, and it's just, it's like when you're passionate about something, you're going to see that it happens, and I think I was talking with another guy this week on another podcast I was doing, and his was business related.
Yeah.
And with everything that's happening, and is it worth pursuing, and it all goes back to that why. Why are we doing something? And if your why is so strong that nothing is going to be able to stop you, or get in your way. And so it's like with me in this journey of me speaking, like there's no plan B. I'm all in. And because I know this is what God is calling me to do. And same within your situation, I believe you're all in, and it will take work, but the rewards and just being able to have that impact, there's no amount of money that,
Right.
can pay you off on that. I mean, that's so much happiness, so much joy comes from that experience.
I have worked for money and have not been happy, like been miserable at a job, but stayed because it paid good. But I can honestly say these past 6 months, I have been more fulfilled by what I have been doing that I'm not really getting paid for, but just the impact I'm making. It has been the most fulfilling experience of my life, to be honest. So I totally feel the passion.
Heck yes. And and that too. It's like, whenever I went through my time, you start appreciating life and just the small things that we often take for granted. But and also talking about, money, it does not bring you happiness. It's temporary. It is temporary
Definitely.
satisfaction, because I know millionaires that have shared their depression. They're either very depressed, they're in and out of all these marriages. Nothing is satisfying them. They're just searching for something. And
Yeah.
ultimately, from my faith, I believe Jesus is the answer. However, on top of that, I think when you're in your calling, when you know who you are and what you're here on this earth to do, then life becomes fun. It takes on a
Yeah.
whole new meaning. And yeah, that's where it's like with my career. It's not about the money. It's not about the fame. It's just simply I enjoy doing it. I could do it for free. That's how much I
Right.
enjoy it.
That's when you know you're doing the right thing. You have to
Yes,
follow your passion.
that's right. I want to ask some of the guests that you have interviewed on your Unrelenting Humans podcast. What is some of the common problems that these individuals have encountered, and yet the lessons they have pulled out of those experiences? Because I know there's probably going to be a lot of people that may be listening to this that say, you know what, I was an athlete, I had this going for me, then all of a sudden, bam, this happened. And I know you've shared with us your points, but I didn't know if there's any other cool insights that you thought, this may be something worth sharing.
It's crazy because with the people I interview, it's such a broad spectrum of different like situations, different type of injuries. Some people were born, disabled. Some people just had a knee injury. Some people had, a weight loss journey or another type of disability. So when it comes to that, it's very different. But something that is very common for everybody is the mental part of it that they had to overcome. Like that, everybody says that one of the hardest things they had to overcome was themselves mentally, like to push them to go further. And that is really the difference between a lot of people, just in the good and the great. It's just that little difference of how you talk to yourself and what you hold yourself accountable to do and what you push yourself to do. And like people say they can't, but there's people that are out there in worse circumstances actually doing it. And you just have to make up your mind to do it and adapt to a way that you can actually do it. If it's about, fitness and working out, and you can apply that in a lot of different ways. Like I could say I couldn't start a podcast because I don't have this and I don't have that, but you find a way and you make it work for you and you grow and you
Yes.
evolve.
And that you do. Did you struggle with, like, I have this identity as this athlete. This is what I'm known for. This is what I do. This is my thing. And then now all of a sudden this injury happens, and then like, okay, uh, now I got to find something else, my identity. And obviously you're doing all these other things for your careers, like you're just an EMT caregiver doing these things. But I didn't know if that was something you was known for. Like this is Lonnie's thing. This is what I do. Then all of a sudden, bam, it's gone.
Well, athlete, yeah, because I think my whole internet presence is my athleticism. And I got known more for being, a person that climbed on stuff and did pull-ups on random things and, always being athletic. And so not having that and having to see other people still be active and like doing challenges and I wasn't able to, that that was tough. I never thought the hardest thing I would ever have to do was sit down.
Mhm.
And that was surprising. But then it also, yeah, gave me the opportunity to learn how to sit down and to be more patient and to take the time to take care of myself because you can get so caught up in doing everything, doing so much stuff and distracting yourself that you forget to take care of yourself. And that's how a lot of injuries occur in the first place is by not listening to your body and not taking care of yourself or doing something you're not ready for, like doing a flip off of some rings.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that, yeah, Lord knows I wouldn't be trying to do that stuff. I've done some goofy stuff in my life, but yeah.
but didn't you say you juggled like knives?
Yeah, I guess that's considered goofy in some, but but I mean, like, it's, to be honest, I mean, it's once you master, you know what, the clubs are, right? The juggling clubs, a lot of them say they're bowling pins, but technically they're clubs. That's the jugglers
Mm-hmm.
will correct. The jugglers will correct you on that. Clubs, but if you get those down, then knives and fire, same thing. It's like, yeah, it's no big deal. It looks more scary than what it is. But yeah.
One wrong move. I'm just saying,
Well, of
that's a
course,
finger.
and those things they do happen. I mean, Lord knows I make mistakes all the time. I mean, but it's just like with anything. I mean, I've seen that. Uh, yeah, no matter how many times you practice or do something, we all still have our days where we're just off. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think one of one of the things that always made me feel good is whenever I'd go to a circus. I went to Cirque du Soleil one time. I watched this juggler on stage, world champion juggler who I idolized, and he dropped during the show, and it made me feel really good. I ain't gonna lie, it made me feel good because I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
I'm not doing too bad after all. No,
Right.
he handled it like a pro. I mean, he was amazing, but I mean, like, it made, oh, okay, oh, I'm doing fine. Everybody drops. Everyone has their,
Yeah. We're all
so
just human.
we're all just human. We're in this together. So I love that. Well, I appreciate you sharing that because, the identity part, I know that's something that was huge with me and even some of the other people that I've talked with, because we take so much pride in what we have earned or who we've become as individuals. Even people, like, if they take pride in their physical appearance. I've talked with a lady a while back. Her big thing was her physical attraction, her beauty, and then all of a sudden she was injured, and she now has these scars, and she now has to adapt to a whole new appearance. And so it's just truly learning to love yourself on a whole new level. And I agree too
Yeah.
with the self-care. I mean, that's vital. I mean, and meditating, prayer, being physically active, that's something that I'm still on the journey to doing. I'm just now doing this 75-day hard challenge that my health guys got me doing. So it's like 2 45-minute workout sessions a day, drinking gallon of water every day, which I already do like a gallon and a half every day. So it's
Oh,
just
wow.
trying to, but it's tough, it's challenging, but it's
Yes.
self-care through it all.
It is. And then so many people don't realize like you have to do self-care on all levels. Like you can't just do one. So you have to be mindful of, your mind, your spirituality, and your body. Like it's all connected, all together. If one of them is off, you're kind of throwing off the whole thing.
Yeah, that is yeah, very much so. And so you were saying you're six months out from your injury, and so how much longer are you? You may have shared, but just to refresh me, how much longer?
Not quite sure because COVID kind of threw a wrench and stuff. For about 3.5 months, I didn't see a physical therapist or my orthopedic surgeon right after I had surgery.
Okay.
So that kind of has put me behind where my quad on my left leg is atrophied. It's smaller than the other one. So I have to build up the muscle. Like I should be starting running now and like just getting back into hopping, but I'm not there yet.
Okay.
So it's going to be a nice long recovery, and I'm going to take the time to do it. I don't like a few months ago, I felt the pressure of the internet and seeing everybody do these runs and stuff. So I went running before I was ready, and I kind of hurt myself even more that way. And that's
Yeah.
not what we're trying to do. So it'll probably be a full another 6 months before I'm really back to 100%.
Yeah. Well, just you have an amazing spirit about you, and just keep it up. Feel it. You encourage and inspire me, and I know that you're going to do the same to many of the people that are listening to this. And just keep your head high. And I look forward to seeing that when you do get out there and you start running and getting back into action, because I have no doubt that you're going to do it.
Thank
And
you.
even on your journey for becoming a nonprofit, doing all these things, and I mean this too, seriously, if there's anything I can do to help you out along this journey, please feel free to let me know. And I think it's always important that we help each other out. Entrepreneurship, leaders, doing podcasts, whatever it is, the ultimate goal, we're just in this to love on people, to let them know
Yes.
that there's hope no matter what they've gone through. And I think we all need that unity. It's so important.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate you. And I definitely want to make sure all the listeners, everybody has the opportunity to get in contact with you. And so what would be, if you have a website, and obviously we want to promote your podcast, Unrelenting Humans, please go on there, follow, you have a social media for that too, right?
Yes, I have on Instagram, it's unrelenting_humans. My personal Instagram, that's where I'm the most active socially on social media, is evolution_of Lani. Evolution_of_Lani, spelled Lani. I just got on YouTube literally like 2 days ago. So that's Unrelenting Humans is going to YouTube.
Nice.
And so, yeah, if anybody wants to follow me there on those platforms, and like, subscribe, leave me a rating.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I'm
Oh,
working on the website, so
well, yes. Well, let me know when you get that happen. Do you know the future, like the URL on that, or no?
I do not. It'll probably be for Unrelenting Humans. So
Okay.
it'll be at like unrelentinghumans.com or .org.
One of those
Possibly.
two. So if someone listens to this in, let's say, 2021, 2022, it very well could be up by that time. So,
Oh, definitely. It'll be up within the
yes.
next few weeks. So
Yes.
we will.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this. And I know you've been a blessing to me. And hopefully we'll get this put out soon. And let's continue to keep in contact. It's been
Definitely.
a true pleasure. So
Thank you for having me.
thank you. Thank you. And everybody, I will see you back here for the next episode of the Scar Release podcast. Be encouraged. We love you. That's what it's all about. No matter what you've gone through, there is hope. You can endure. You got this. Take care. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Scar Release. Please be sure to subscribe and tell your friends. And remember, no matter what scars you carry, there is hope, and you can live a life of freedom.